All right, guys, how you doing? My name is Catlin. Today we're going to be going over our new hitch tire carrier for the 4Runner and other models. First of all, this is what we're going to be seeing in a box. The tire carrier is going to have an upper and a lower. They're going to be separated. It's a pretty straightforward thing. It goes in your hitch and holds a tire, but what we're going to go over is how to secure it so it's not wobbling on you, make sure all the operations working the way it is, and how to maintain it. If you're installing this, chances are you're taking your spare tire and you're putting it on the tire carrier. I already took the tire down because we're definitely going to need the tire down to install this and secure it the way we are. Take your lower end. We're just going to pick it up and put her in the hitch, like so. We're installing this on a factory Toyota hitch. The factory Toyota hitch is a little different than your aftermarket ones, and we're going to go over that after we cover this. So I've already got it in there. Before I go add a bunch of weight to it, I want to secure this down. What we're trying to achieve when we secure it down is we want to get rid of this because you don't want to be going around with 200 pounds of wobble with your tire on there. So in your package, you have a setup that kind of looks like this. It's a long bolt, 5/8, with a threaded coupling, and this little wrench that has like a nut welded in it. This bolt here is your main pin. It's a 5/8 with an Allen head in the end. We're gonna be coming in through the driver's side. When we're in there, you have a keep. That's what's gonna cinch everything up. This little guy is gonna go in through the back, so go through halfway. We're going to find our threads and then thread it all the way on till it bottoms out here. So we're going to slide it in halfway. See if I can do this without getting on the vehicle. All right, so once you see it started on there, just screw it until it stops. Screwing. All right, so I can't screw anymore. The nut's all the way down. I'm gonna shove that bolt the rest of the way in. You can come around here. So I've got the nut all the way in there. I'm gonna shove it through all the way until it stops. I'm gonna take this coupling. We're going to screw that on here. We're going to bottom it out. And what that's going to do is your nut is on the inside and this coupling's on the outside. And what that's going to do is tighten things up to where it cinches all that slack up. We'll get a ratchet. I'll put my 7/8 on the end of here. This is just the easiest way to do it. What that did was pull all this to the side. So now it's solid. That's your main pin. That's taking up all your slack going this way, so you don't have any rocking. There's three different secure points. So we're cinching it up 3 dimensions: this way, up and down, and towards the vehicle. While I'm here, I'm gonna show you what one of them is. The other two, you're gonna find a little loose tab like this. This is optional. It would be okay without it, but for extra security, or if you want to put a lock on this thing, so make sure nobody can just unbolt it. This is going to come loose, and what it does is it's going to weld. Yes, you got to get a welder involved to put this on. It's just going to fit flush up against here, and you put a weld on there. There'll be a bolt and a nut, and that will sandwich it this way. So now we don't have any slack this way or this way. So that's extra. Now, to take up the slack in the back side, we've got this little doodad looks like this. The 4Runner receiver hitch, the female end, is a much shorter than normal. Our hitch going in should be hanging out the back side. If so, we're going to use this little bracket and it's going to hook on the back that's hanging out, and we're going to feed this bolt in there, and that's going to cinch up down and take up all that slack. I'll show you how to do that in a second. If you have a receiver hitch that is not a factory Toyota, it's obviously going to be much longer. You're not going to have anything hanging out. You're going to get a little short bolt. You're not going to use this. A little short bolt is going to go in from the inside, and it's going to push up and take up the slack going up and down. We'll move to the bench in a second, and I'll show you all how that works. But for this one, we'll show you how this works on the truck. This hole back here is already threaded. See how this hitch is hanging out of our receiver? That seems to be pretty specific on just the Toyotas, as far as we can tell. But I have a threaded hole here in this pressure bracket. And what that's going to do is bridge this to here into your factory receiver. And I'm going to tighten down and squeeze it all together. That's going to take out that slack up and down. It's just another measure. This is not something like it's going to fall off without it.
So we lost some audio here. I'm just going to do a quick voiceover. We make these adjustments so that you tighten the X, Y, and Z axis as shown here. And that's going to be everything from underneath. You'll have a bolt here, and a bolt on the outside or a lock.
Okay, I just want to simulate on the table so y'all guys can better visualize and understand how these pieces are working. This is just raw materials. This is the same thing that's welded into your hitch. You can see there's two holes depending on which receiver you got, and it'll be evident whether or not whichever one works. And then we got this threaded nut down here. First of all, I want to show y'all how this works, just more out in the open. So this thing's fed in here. We want to get rid of that slack. This thing's got a little handle on it. I'm going to feed it in there, and I'm going to put this bolt in there until I catch my threads. You can kind of see through here. You can see that nut is now started. So we're just going to tighten her all the way up until it starts poking out the other side. Just take all this slack out. So what's going to happen is I'm going to push this all the way across here. And we're going to put this coupling on here, and that's going to sandwich our receiver. All right? So it's sandwiched all the way to this side, so it don't move now. On the 4Runner truck, it's probably going to look a little something like that. And then we're going to use this little bracket to take up our slack up and down. Another scenario we have found that if you have a longer receiver hitch, you're going to see something more like that. To combat that, we're basically, instead of pulling it down, we're going to be pushing it up. And what we're going to do is got a little bolt, a little 7/16, a little fiddly, but you get it in there and get it started. And what it's going to do is it's going to act kind of like a pinch bolt. It's going to push. The more you screw it down, the more it's going to push up like that. You've already tightened it down this way. This will push up, and you'll tighten it down and cinch it up. And that's how you'll get your slack from up and down out. All right, so we have our lower section bolted on. This can be bolted on with the top on, but it's going to be a lot heavier if you do so. It's nice and secure. I can jump up and down on this. There's no slack, and that's what we want. In your package, you're going to find 3/4 inch acorn nut, a finishing nut, and a washer, 1/4 inch washer. You'll also be equipped with 2 brass bushings that should be loose. They'll be slid in there on either side, and this is basically our bearing that we're going to be using. A little bit of grease wouldn't hurt for longevity and smoothness, but it's as easy as just sliding this on there. It's a nice snug fit. I'm just going to kind of wiggle it so it slides down. Okay. Washer. finishing nut. This is what's going to kind of tune your tension on it. If you feel like it's too hard, you just kind of loosen this up. Cinch it all the way down. Tighten it up. I want to see that I can still move it pretty easy. It's pretty tight. So I want to loosen it up. Kind of like that. Get it where you want it. Take this cap. This cap is deformed, so it may seem like maybe it's cross-threaded. So just kind of be careful before you cinch it down. It's got that little dimple. It's deformed to keep it locked on. It's kind of hard to, there you go. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to sandwich it down on our finishing nut because we like the way the tension is on it. And this will loosen up a little bit. It is a little different once you have a lot more weight on it. But essentially, this is what we're looking for. Locks in. We're good. Nice and solid. Over here, you have your typical spring-loaded pin. This is a safety. If this were to come unloose, this keeps it from popping out anymore. This is also a lock in case you're on an incline or something like that. Comes out, locks in, so it won't fall on you. And this holds everything down. Toyos have a 6 lug. We only put 4. But you can, if you wanted to pick up some more lug nuts just in case you need them on the trail, people like to have extra ones on them. You can always pop a new one in there, tighten them up, and they'll, like a little spline lug. If you need them, you can pop them out. They're not welded on, they're just pressed in, hammered in. But that's the only reason we have 2 more holes here if you wanted to add some more lugs. But these are your standard lug nuts, 12 millimeter. And that's it.